January 22nd, 2019, Smollett receives a hate mail at the Fox studio, which basically is somebody menacing him for who he is.
Right.
So Fox immediately puts security on set with Smollett, and they say, we'll also have these people escort you home if you want. Smollett, what we learned in actually the testimony today, refused the security escorting him home. So he told the studio directly, I don't want anybody following me home. It's too invasive. So January 29th of the same year, the supposed attack happens. And we all kind of remember the details where it's 2 a.m. These guys came up to him with masks on.
He was coming home from Subway at 2
a.m.
They dumped
bleach on him. They threw a noose around his neck, and they yelled out, MAGA country. So, I mean, that kind of stuff is horrifying, and obviously it created just this national outcry to figure out what had actually happened in this situation. So a day later, the police announced that they're going to start this investigation to look into it. But something else that we've learned in the prosecution during the trial so far is that Smollett, the day that they opened the investigation, refused access to his phone, his medical records, and his DNA. So he basically stonewalled the cops from the very beginning and was like, I'm not going to help you at all, which is pretty odd, frankly. So 2 weeks later, he's on Good Morning America, doubling down on his story. But 2 days after that, that's when the cops finally named the 2 Nigerian-born U.S. citizen trainers as the people of interest in this whole situation.
So the 2 apparently white guys who yelled, this is MAGA country, and tied a rope around his neck and poured bleach on him, they were Nigerian.
So
something's going on.
One of the people in the trial so far, a cop who actually said that he talked to the people who talked to Smollett directly that night, said that on the night of, Smollett said one of them was white and one of them was light-skinned. But he's already changed that narrative in his prosecution, saying that this was a sophisticated attack staged by these 2 Nigerian trainers.
Changing the narrative is always a good look.
So there's already a lot of contradictions that are being exposed, but we also know very shortly thereafter in March, Smollett was indicted by the police for falsifying a report, but then the indictment was eviscerated. And they were like, well, actually, we're going to wash our hands of it and you can ride off into the sunset and it's all good.
Never mind.
Eviscerated by our best friend in Chicago, Kim Fox. For those of you that don't know, the reason Chicago is such just a hellscape right now is because prosecutors like Kim Fox refuse to hold criminals responsible. They let people out on no bail. It's crazy up there, and it's all Kim Fox's fault. And she thought, you know what? I'm going to cover for my boy Juicy Smollett. Didn't work out too well for her.
So June of, pardon me here, let me get my notes right. So June of 2019, the judge appoints, or actually no, it's 2020. So a little bit later, no, my apologies, guys.
You're good.
June of 2019, the local police reopened the investigation into Smollett. And then in February of 2020, he's indicted again on 6 counts of disorderly conduct for the same stuff he was charged with the first time around. So that gets us in our current situation where he's on trial. So some of the juicy stuff that's come out of the trial so far, I mean, what are your guys' favorite tidbits that you've seen?
Well, I think the favorite of mine is that they have security cam footage of him driving the 2 Nigerian brothers around the intersection where the alleged crime ended up taking place. So basically they were like warming up. They were doing kind of a rehearsal before the actual they staged the event, which is hilarious. That's the way the prosecutor described it, at least.
It kills me. I mean, in the broad spectrum of things, I just can't believe that he didn't bother to get different people to do this.
Right.
I'm just like, you had access to plenty of white people, probably some racist white people who have happily done it. But
I assume he didn't think they would trace it back to those guys. But it was an odd choice.
I mean, just starting all the way back from the beginning, I'm like, why would you make that choice?
One of the best little things that's come out that we've got a piece on Western Journal about is, so he picked this spot specifically. He did these rehearsals because he thought the area that he was going to have this attack staged, allegedly, was on camera. But when the police actually did their investigating and pulled the footage of the camera that he thought was filming what had happened, they realized that the camera was pointed the wrong way. So they go to Smollett the next day and they're like, hey, actually, we don't have any footage of this because we pulled the footage and it's pointed the wrong way. And they've said in the trial that he became very upset when he was told that it wasn't captured.
Wait a minute, I made sure there was a camera there. Wait, never mind.
Oh, it's pointed the wrong way. Oh,
darn it.
Nuts.
It is pretty, and it's unbelievable that he's now saying, oh, these guys, these MAGA Nigerians just happened to run into me, even though he is is acquaintances with them. He knew them from working on Empire.
Oh, it's more than that, man. Like, we've had stuff come out today
Yeah.
where Smollett has said that he was romantically involved with one of the two of them. So he's essentially intimating, in my mind, that they're jilted lovers, and these guys are coming after him to ruin his career.
And throughout all of this, and on the trial, I believe today, on the stand today during the trial, he's been pretty open about the fact, hey, I'm gay. That's why all this happened. I'm a victim here because I'm gay, obviously, right?
Because if nothing else can save him, his homosexuality can. That's the moral of the story. That's what he wants. That's what he wants it to be.
Well, you know, it's funny. I've actually looked. I'm working on a story right now on kind of the psychology of hate crime hoaxers and like why they do the things that they do. And Wilfred Riley, this political scientist at, I believe, Kentucky State University, he wrote the book on this, and he's studied it extensively, and he looked through all these hate crime hoax cases. And basically what he found out is that when someone stages a hate crime hoax like this, you know, they know they're lying, but they believe that their lie is speaking to a larger truth. And so that's what makes it okay. Because, well, you know, I'm actually not lying. I'm actually telling the truth because this is the larger truth that we need to tell everyone.
So the lie is the vehicle in which you tell the truth.
The lie,
so to speak. That's
a perfect description of that. Yeah. So that's the people like Smollett, you know, the people that are there's still a lot of people have abandoned him because it's pretty clear that he faked this, but the people that are still behind him, and you know, this is the same psychology behind the people that wanted to make sure Rittenhouse was convicted, even though they knew he was probably not guilty of all those charges, is because they believe, okay, this speaks to a larger truth. We need to make sure we get a win for the larger truth, even if this specific case isn't a good example of that.
So it doesn't have to be their truth individually. It's just the truth.
Exactly. Yeah.